Hello, we're in Bristol as the Tour of Britain gets towards its sharp end this year. 2 stages here to entertain the cycling fans, and really they've been spoiled for entertainment this week, especially with yesterday's battle royale on the finish at Haytor. Cycling fans in this part of the world aren't bothered about a bit of wind and rain and turned out in force in Sidmouth on the Jurassic coast. As they hit the 0 kilometre mark, a 4-man break went immediately. Caja Rural's Miguel Benito once again joining Jasper Bovenhaus of Ampost Chain Reaction, former 2-time Italian champion Gianni Visconti of Movistar, and Tom Stewart of Madison Genesis. A great welcome awaited them on the climb of Chinaway Hill, and as the break eased towards the 3-minute mark, Stewart showed his pedigree in the way he nonchalantly dealt with a puncture, popping out his back wheel while still clipped into the pedals. Bovenhaus was allowed to increase his lead in the Yodel Sprints competition in Tiverton, and the break continued to gain time while the peloton headed through the feed zone. The first casualty in the break, sprinter Bovenhaus, 45 kilometres from the summit of Haytor. The 3 left stayed pegged at almost 3 minutes away. World Tour, Pro Continental and Continental levels all represented and all working well. At the back of the peloton, Christian House started to go backwards. The former national champion has struggled with sickness in the past couple of days. Up the front, Sky's Danny van Poppel lifted the speed as more riders were spat out the back. Bovenhaus kept going backwards as well. On the outskirts of Exeter, people packed a pedestrian bridge to get a good look. And then there were 2 in the break, Benito popping. But Benito was not done though. A huge effort helped the Spaniard claw his way back to the front 2. Visconti then attacked to get over Dunchidiuk first. The former Italian champion key to put daylight between himself and his mates in the breakaway. In Chudley, as the final sprint passed, Stewart and Benito knew that their day was over, shaking hands on a job well done. But Haytor wasn't far now. The fireworks were being well and truly lit. Sky setting up poles or roach for the big finish. Visconti could feel him breathing down his neck, and he sat up. It was 5 kilometres to the summit, and the riders were dropping in numbers out to the back. Rowan Dennis stretched his legs as he did on the struggle earlier in the Tour. Dumoulin leapt to keep him in his sights. Poles and Izagirre joined them in the shakedown, a group of true hitters with GC intentions. In the group, Etix's Julian Vermont knew that his yellow jersey was now in jeopardy. Steve Cummings then tried to bridge the gap to the front with less than 3 kilometres to go. Galopin joined him. It meant some of the biggest names in world cycling were now fighting it out for the stage win.
Here he comes then. It's going to be Wout Poels that takes it from Rowan Dennis of BMC. Cummings comes through. That's the man that we were waiting for. And that means that Cummings is now going to be in the yellow jersey.
So after the finish on Haytor and stage 6, a complete shake-up at the top of the GC. Steve Cummings moves into the yellow jersey presented by Iceberg, with daylight between him and Tom Dumoulin, who's 49 seconds back. But he can time trial, as can Rowan Dennis and Tony Galopin. Dylan van Baarle also within the minute of the leader, who can also do it against the clock. Really pleased to say that Janto Barker is with me here once again in Bristol, but also Olympic gold medalist 3 times, Ed Clancy. Ed, lovely to see you. How are you recovering after Rio's exertions and partying?
Pretty well, to be honest. It's nice to be on holiday for a change. No, I'm really enjoying the Olympic afterlife, to be honest, and it's nice to come here and watch some other people suffer for a change. Yeah,
a good excuse not to ride the Tour of Britain this year. You were riding it last year. How do you find it?
Well, last year I finished dead last, and from what I've heard from the other boys, this year's even harder, so yeah, it's quite easy watching it at this point in time.
Yeah, they're saying it is pretty difficult. Today's circuit around Bristol, no different, Janto. It's a pretty technical one, and we've had a little bit of rain in the morning as well to make it just a bit more dicey.
It is wet, and it will have some quite sketchy, slippery moments, so the guys will really have to take care and be cautious. I believe it's quite a balanced course. There's a bit of technical, there's a bit of speed, and also a climb, obviously, which we'll see a bit later.
Ed, how are you at time trialling?
If it's pan flat and it's 4K, I can take a little bit of slipstream off my teammates. Great.
Yeah, like a team pursuit. A bit of banking in there for good measure as well. Ed, thank you very much indeed for now doing a big turn there to give Janto a bit of a rest. Let's have a close look now at today's circuit. A 15-kilometre loop of Bristol is pretty much the same course for the time trial and a 6-lap circuit race. It crosses the world-famous Clifton Suspension Bridge, heads through Lee Woods and then skirts alongside the River Avon for a while. On the other side, the route back heads through Spike Island, past the SS Great Britain, then through Clifton and back to the start-finish line, once again on Bristol Downs. Bristol has so many stories to tell. Surrounded by beautiful countryside, this cosmopolitan inland harbour city has its own unique identity and independent spirit. A place of innovation, artists and activists, its streets are alive with a colourful creative culture that can be experienced in everything from food to film. There are award-winning restaurants, food from around the world, and an incredible mix of markets and street food. The Bristol shopping quarter in the heart of the city centre has hundreds of shops, including Harvey Nichols, and there are many shopping arcades and independent boutiques throughout the city. Okay, now it's time to hear from some of the riders.
It's a very hard circuit. The twisty corners where you want to probably gain some time and save the legs, and it's quite hard. You've got to be focused on it, and then the last climb there is it's pretty tough because you've already tried to stay on the power. You've got a headwind as you come down by the river there, so then that gasses you, and you've got the climb as well, and then you've only got what, 1.5 nearly 2k to go at the top, but you're all in really there. So it is going to be a tough all race.
The climb is quite tough. Especially also towards the finish line. Nobody gonna wait for the sprinters there. So it's more about staying safe and finishing off this Tour of Britain.
What's the vibe in the team at the moment as we head into towards the end of the tour?
We made a monumental error on stage 2. There's no other way to describe it. We missed that break. We had to chase. It's just put us on the back foot all week. Taken a little bit more of a kick in this week. Obviously Gorka's been fighting. Javi was in the break when Bauer won. Visconti yesterday, if that break had stayed away, he would have won up the hater. So it's just the way it pans out. Sometimes it goes in your favour, sometimes it doesn't.
When I first did this race in 2005, I think it was, there was people out in London, obviously, but apart from that, there was no one really out. And as the race has gone on more and more, and obviously British cycling's had the success it's had, there's been people out watching it. Not just people out stood at the side of the road, you get the schools out watching it, but you get people coming out on their bikes, which never happened before. And it's pretty spectacular. We're going on at the same time as the Vuelta a España, one of the Grand Tours, and we've got more people here watching this and that, it's great.
With highlights of today's time trial, Hugh Porter and Brian Smith.
Well, thanks very much, Ed. This is Bradley Wiggins just setting off for the start of his time trial, 14.2 kilometres. Damp conditions after the heavy overnight rain. Well, Wiggins is well down in the overall standings, but he may just turn on the style today. This is the Commonwealth Games gold medalist Alex Dowsett. He's won a time trial before in the history of the Tour, and Dowsett will be out to impress.
It hasn't gone well for the Movistar team, and the British champion who wanted to show well here in the Tour of Britain, especially in this time trial, which is his forte.
Look at the caution being shown on that left-hander by Bradley Wiggins as we get the finisher coming in, the leader actually in the sprint competition, Bovenhaus, and Bovenhaus crosses the line there to record his time. And we look back now at Wiggins, who's just spinning a low gear up the climb.
Yeah, Bradley out in the course and not setting one of the fastest times. At the split point at halfway, he was 9:25, well down at that time.
Wiggins comes with a victory salute, but it will not be a victory in the time trial. His finishing time 20 minutes 31.67 seconds. This, of course, is his last road race. He's bidding farewell to the competitive scene. But this is the arrival now of Alex Dowsett. Dowsett on his way. He went through the midway point in 8:26, the fastest at this stage of the competition. And he does look powerful. The Movistar rider stops the clock on 18:41.97. He's the new leader.
Well, he was setting the fastest time out in the course. 8:26 at the halfway point, finishing in 18:41, which is 45.5 kilometres an hour around this course.
Staggering speed, staggering time by Dowsett. Brilliant ride by Alex Dowsett. He's wearing the white jersey there with the red and blue stripes, 5 times the national champion. That was Ryan Mullen we saw rolling out there, and of course he's a former silver medal winner in the World Under-23 Championships, and it's Mullen now coming in, and he's going to post a good time here. This is going to threaten, no, not quite, it's 18:45, but that's good enough for second at the moment, as Taylor Finney, the American champion, tries to tee up the crowd, ready for the start. Oh, slipped a little bit there.
Yeah, it's very slippy out there, especially on the start line. Mark Cavendish now coming up to the line, just rolling over the line of a time of 21 minutes and 40 seconds. He's just going through and making sure he makes the time cut, because he'll be thinking of defending that yellow jersey of Steve Cummings today.
Oh, there's a crash there. Oh, that's Finney that's gone down, and that is such a shame, because I can tell you that Taylor Finney, through the midway point, had gone 8 minutes and 13 seconds. That's 13 seconds faster than Alex Dowsett. So the American champion's rhythm there totally disrupted, and just look at the leg.
Well, he was quickly up and going, but it would have set him back on his rhythm there. As you see, Tony Martin on the start line, the German champion. And Ethics have had a very good week, but unfortunately for Tony Martin, he hasn't had a time trial win at all this year.
Well, Finney now on the climb, and obviously that crash has certainly disrupted his rhythm, but it'll be interesting to just see how good the German champion's going. Pretty good, I would say, by this. Look at this, already closing up onto his minute man. So he's closed the gap, catching the man that started a minute ahead of him.
Yeah, that's young James Shaw. He's put in a lot of energy for his team Lotto Soudal, but out in the course, Tony Martin going well with 8:25 at the split point.
Here comes Finney now on his way up to the line, and obviously that crash has totally disrupted his rhythm, but it's still going to be a respectable time. Look at the clock, 18:46 for Finney.
Yeah, unfortunately he did have that crash 500 metres after the checkpoint, where he was by far the fastest.
Just wondering what he would have done if he hadn't have hit the deck. Taylor Finney, a man that's got so much class and has been a world champion on the track. 4th in the Olympic Games, 4th in the road race. This is the arrival now of Tony Martin. Tony Martin on his way. I can tell you his split time was 8:25, a second quicker than Dowsett. What's his time going to be at the finish? It's very, very quick indeed. Here comes the former world champion up to the line. Oh, look at that, 18:06. He's 35 seconds faster than Alex Dowsett. What a time.
Well, Alex was sitting in the Alpecin hot seat, but oh well, he says, and he'll be moving off that seat, and that'll be vacated by the German champion Tony Martin.
It was actually a blistering time there. He was absolutely flying. As we go back now to the start house, this is Gorka Izagirre, the man who finished second in the Tour of Switzerland, riding on the Movistar team.
Yeah, both Gorka and his brother not riding this race. Jon can do a very good time trial, but Tony Martin may have a long wait, because that was an exceptional time.
The arrival of the next finisher here with a time of 18:31, and that was Izagirre, as we go back to the start house, and this is the Australian champion rolling away.
So Rowan Dennis is out there, and you've got to remember he's challenging for a top performance.
Latest time being recorded there. As we go back then to the Australian champion.
Yeah, the Australian champion just going over the Clifton suspension bridge on the way out. You can just see it's very kind of damp conditions for all the riders. Quite consistent from the starts earlier on today, when we had Emil Westijn setting off just after 10 o'clock.
So this is the face of Tom Dumoulin, the man who won the silver medal in the Olympic Games, as the crowd absolutely will on the leader. And this is Steve Cummings of Great Britain. Remember, he's got a 49-second cushion advantage over Tom Dumoulin, but the top 6 overall are all within 58 seconds. So this race of truth is very, very critical. This is the arrival of Tom. This is Galopin coming up to the line. Tony Galopin coming up to the line. Let's have a look at his time. Oh, that's impressive. 18:31 for Galopin. That's going to put his nearest rivals in the overall standings under pressure.
Yeah, now over the suspension bridge you can see Tom Dumoulin, the Dutch champion. So all the GC contenders fighting out a battle on this 14.2 kilometre course. An excellent time by Tony Gallopin and Lotto Soudal, which will keep him up in the overall.
Here comes Cummings, cautiously taking the left-hander, and I can tell you that Gallopin and Dennis are only 2 seconds apart in the overall standings, and Dennis is 2 seconds behind Dumoulin, so it is so critical this time, so caution on the descent.
Yeah, you can see all of the riders not throwing the bikes around and giving a lot of these corners respect.
Here's the arrival now of Rowan Dennis, the man that held the hour record, and look at the time here. 18.09 then for Rowan Dennis. What a blistering finish then by him.
Well, I can tell you out in the course he did set the equal fastest time at the first checkpoint at 18.13, equaling Taylor Finney, but died a little towards the end.
So that time by Rowan Dennis, 18.09, now means that this man here, Tom Dumoulin, is under incredible pressure, because remember, he started the day 2 seconds ahead of Dennis in the overall standings, and he stops the clock at 18.11, so that means they're both locked in GC on the same time. We just wait for the arrival now of Steve Cummings. His split time, I can tell you, was 18.31. That's very healthy. He's in touch.
He's 300 metres from the line and setting a very good time. He's got the whole world behind him, in fact the whole of Great Britain behind him. He's only 200 metres from the line in that iceberg yellow jersey.
The support is resonating all around the finishing funnel area here, and look at the leg speed of Cummings. Cummings powering his way up to the line now. What's he going to stop the clock at? There it is, 18.22. That places him fourth in the time trial. Okay, he's lost a little bit of time on his nearest challengers, but that keeps him well and truly in the lead, and he will retain the iceberg yellow jersey. What a ride by Steve Cummings. He delivered, and it was popular. Here is the winner of the time trial, Tony Martin. Well, everybody was speculating on the German being on the top podium position, and he didn't disappoint. But for the overall standings, we confirm the time trial first. Martin winning from Dennis by 3 seconds. Dumoulin coming in at 5. Steve Cummings at 16. Job done then by Steve Cummings on Dimension Data.
I'm Mark Cavendish, and here comes a commentary from the two most characteristic people in the UK. You've got Brian Smith and Newport.
Well, thanks, Mark. How flattering. Now then, let's get on with stage 7B. So this Bristol stage, presented by OVO Energy, including the Bristol Alpecin time trial, is due to get underway again with stage 2 in Bristol, and this is going to be 90 kilometres of racing, 56 miles, 6 laps of the 15-kilometre circuit. Well, that's the countdown, and the flag has dropped, and the field are rolling away for the start of stage 7B here in Bristol. 6 laps then of this 15-kilometre circuit, and I tell you, it is a pretty tough circuit as well. We have on the way, at the end I should say, time bonuses 6, 4 and 2. There are 3 climbs in the King of the Mountains, and that's lap 2, lap 4 and lap 6, and there is 1 sprint in the Yodel Sprints Jersey competition on lap 3.
You got to think that as we see Dan McClay towards the back, and he lost that chain reaction points jersey in the time trial this morning, but he's one rider that could possibly try and think of this stage today. In fact, there's a lot of the British domestic teams, this comes within their reach. As you said, Stuart, 6 laps, 90 kilometres, most of them taking it a little bit easier this morning in the time trial. As you see, Mark Cavendish just moving up to the control car. This is going to be a fascinating race, and I think Team Dimension Data will try and control things. On the right hand side you can see the team captain of Team Dimension Data, Bernie Iso, right up there towards the front, ready to control the front of the peloton.
And the red and white checkered flag is going to be pulled in, I am led to believe, at the end of this neutralised section at the bottom of the hill. That's a nice time to start the race, Brian.
Well, they've started now. They've started before the bottom of the hill, and Andy Greipel is the first to attack.
Yep, Greipel is the first man to go on the attack, then the German champion. Well, what's all this about? He's trying obviously to get other people to jump away quickly and get an early break forming. Bardiani in those bright green colours are just checking out the move.
Well, obviously, Lotto Soudal want to make a fist of this race today. They want to make it difficult, and by making it difficult, it suits you know, their rider Jens de Buschere, and also Tony Gallopin. Let's not forget.
So Zipunkt is the man that's trying to go away. They've already had one stage victory with Jack Bauer, and of course Dylan van Baal is their highest place rider in the overall standings. Well, you're looking at the lone leader here. Trek Segafredo is providing this rider. It's about, what, 50 metres at the moment that he's got.
Yeah, he's just attacked. Looks to me a little bit like Boy Van Poppel. A couple of riders trying to come across. Now, it's been full gas right from the start when the neutral or the control car started the race. And then you had an attack by Andrew Greipel. He's now involved with a small group trying to come across. Gorka Izagiri is there. Kaharuawa involved in the mix. But you can just see the yellow jerseys made it to the front with his teammates. I think they want this to go away. They're fanning across the roads, and this could be the break of today.
Glorious shot, isn't it? Now, here is the chaser then from One Pro trying to get across, and this is Karol Domagalski. Domagalski, a really tough rider. He won't give in without a scrap, but I can't see him bridging across. Just cannot see him bridging across. On the way once again up to the finish. And of course, when they cross the line this time, it will be the start of the sprint lap. This is the only sprint lap in this stage, counting in the Yodel Sprint Jersey competition. Greipel coming through from Izagiri.
And this will be helping the Skoda King of the Mountains leader Sandro Maurice by having you know, 4 riders away, plus obviously Domagalski. Don't know when he'll be caught, so it's right into the hands of Wanty Group Gobert.
He doesn't even actually need to sweep up the final point, Brian, because he's got a window of 15 points lead over Roach, and then the third place rider Benito is down on 27, so it's all over. And is Domagalski sitting up? I think he is. I think he's going to wait for the peloton. He realises he's never going to bridge to the leaders, and there they are. So he's going to get caught, and it's just going to leave us with the 4 riders tapping it out at the head. There's the line in the distance, and it looks like Greipel is going to pick up the 3 points here, as we suspected, which narrows the gap on the leader, and that is the Jan Poss rider, Jasper Bovenhaus. Yeah, Greipel's going to take this on the line, and the rest just riding through.
Team Dimension Data still in the mix. Team Sky, Orica Bike Exchange, but it's still the 4 leaders of Gorka Izagiri from Movistar, the best place in the general classification in that front group, 6 minutes and 57 seconds.
There's the result. I can confirm of the sprint, Greipel from Rubio and Izagiri, and it does mean that Greipel, who started the day 3rd in that contest with 9 points, has moved himself now up into 2nd with 12, 6 behind Bovenhaus. I think when the peloton are ready, they'll reel them in. They'll just apply the pressure, and that's going to set the sprinters up nicely.
Well, it was a very fast start, and it took a lap and a half for these riders to get away, and it's a strong breakaway. We do 6 laps round here. This is the second of the King of the Mountains, but everybody knows that they have to climb the same climb 6 times. But only on 3 occasions are the points awarded at the top. So over the top there will be the second King of the Mountains points and points awarded, but we still have got 2 further laps to go with one other King of the Mountains and that. So it's starting to settle down. This gap is just over 1 minute, and it's going to maintain that way. The breakaway know that, the bunch know that, and so what the breakaway are trying to do is settle things down. They're dictating the speed of the race. The peloton don't want to catch them. They want to catch them in the last lap. It's going to come down to the last lap, how much energy these guys have got left. They'll up the tempo, they'll try and stay away, but I don't think it'll be possible today with 4 teams riding at the front of the peloton.
And we've seen this on so many occasions in the race. The group yesterday were finally caught, well, about 5Ks from the finish, and look at the finish down in Bath. Okay, Steve, so Bauer got it, didn't he, the Kiwi? But as he crossed the line, the bunch was sprinting behind, and the Caleb Ewan finished 4th, past the 4th guy who's been in the break all day. So that's how close it was, and Bauer got his arms in the air to claim the victory, but of course he's been the victim of disappointment before when he's been caught almost on the line, particularly in the Tour de France. There we are, that's the summit, and it's Izagiri that's over the top first to pick up the 6 points.
Yeah, so the first 4 is Izagiri, Van Poppel, Grijpo and Rubio in the breakaway, which means there's only 2 and 1 points left for the peloton behind.
Obviously we're expecting Sandro Maurice to go for the point. He doesn't need to though, because his gap is well, he's won the competition. There isn't anybody that can bridge to him now, so he doesn't have to contest the minor places here.
You just see him coming up he's coming up in the right hand side.
Still going to have a go. Just giving the jersey a little bit of exposure to the people. I'm the Skoda King of the Mountains. I've won the competition, but I might just still have a go here.
Oh, here he comes. He's trying to get around.
Yeah, he's still coming through, and yet he doesn't need to. But it's going to be another 2 points for him. Yeah, he gets the 2 points, Maurice. As that gap of advantage increases more and more for him. Under a minute, as we expected. They could well get caught just before the end of this next lap. Hearing that Sky have come through now onto the head of the peloton. Lovely sweeping right-hander there, just getting the riders geared up, ready for the run to the line. Leaves about 300 metres. That workmanlike style of Greipel, the shoulders rolling all of the time. Up to the line, it's going to be 2 laps to go now. 2 laps left in this, the penultimate stage in Bristol. The stage presented by OVO Energy. What a lovely vista that is. Oh, beautiful. Fabulous heli-tele shot. Just riding down this carpet of tarmac that's going to lead them up to the line. And then in the last lap we'll be looking for the sprinters coming through. 2 laps to go then for the peloton. Lovely shot there of Ashton Court. Another superb building here, all in the grounds near here, near the park. We saw the gates a little earlier, and that was the main grounds. A couple of other sprinters we haven't talked about, of course, Brian, the brace of sprinters on the Great Britain team. That's Adam Blythe and, of course, Dan McClay.
Well, they've been quiet, very quiet, but you know, we were in the same hotel a couple of days ago, and you know, we talked to the manager, Keith Lambert, and I think Keith is already recognised that both Dan McClay and Adam Blythe could be suited to today and tomorrow.
Christian House near the back. He has took a hammering over the last 3 days. Quite interesting that the third King of the Mountains comes 1.5 kilometres from the line, so the King of the Mountains contenders won't be bothered about that. It'll be all about trying to gear yourself up at the right position for the sprint. 56 seconds now then it's down to. So the race finally poised for a super sprint finish to tidy up this second stage here in Bristol. 56 seconds advantage, 25 kilometres to go, and the 4 riders still clear. So 1 minute the advantage as the 4 leaders come to the line. 15 kilometres left in this penultimate stage of the Tour of Britain, presented by OVO Energy. So they're inside the concluding 15 kilometres now, the 4. And they are trying to raise the tempo here. The cadence has increased significantly. Well, they're not going to give up without a scrap. You know, they say sport reveals character. I reckon it builds it. But here we are. This is the man, Bohem. Interesting move by him. He gets the bell. Oh, they're right. They're breathing down his neck, aren't they? It's a valiant effort, but it's going to come to nothing as Ethics Quick-Step come to the front.
It's not really sparked anything from the peloton. You know, it's been a good enough effort, but next time round here, it'll be full gas to get good position on the climb. There'll be attacks on the climb, and it's going to be a really interesting final lap here.
Yeah, there's Bristol Zoo. Now that is a famous zoo. Attacked by Greipel. Well, I can't believe this man. So the German champion, Andre Greipel, has attacked. He's gone clear. 12 kilometres to go. The big man is trying to keep clear on his own.
Well, we're talking about animals there, and Greipel, geez, the gorilla has decided to go for it, and I think it was a bit of a surprise to the other riders in the breakaway. They look to be kind of sharing the lead. Push for Boy Van Poppel, but you know, I'm surprised at that. I thought Greipel would wait a little bit longer, but you know, he really wants to get involved here, keep the speed up, make it very difficult. And you know, with 42 seconds, this gap is coming down all the time as we go across the Clifton suspension bridge.
Greipel then trying to get clear of the break, and they're right at the back. It looks very much like the big fella, Connor Dunn, number 33. Now, Izagiri having a go. Izagiri now is trying to get clear.
It started, the gorilla, we passed the zoo and he started attacking. Maybe got a little bit upset, and Gorka Izagiri has now gone for it. So it's all action at the front group here.
Yeah, Gorka Izagiri, who had a cracking time trial this morning, has now gone away, and another attack then coming from the rider from Trek. This is Boy Van Poppel. Boy Van Poppel trying to go up to him.
Yeah, they spent all day looking after each other, but now it's you know, it's every man for themselves. Gorka Izagiri is just about to be caught by Boy Van Poppel. Greipel will want to get up there, but Caja Rual's Rubio is trying to get as much as an armchair ride as possible.
Well, are they going to make the junction just before the climb, or are they going to get past on the climb? Ian Stannard in that familiar style of his, crouching down, face of pain, grimacing as he levers over the big gear and powers his way down the road. the mission to pull the group back. Yep, there's the big peloton. Filling the road gutter to gutter as they chase down their quarry. And they're going to reel their quarry in, I would say, right on the climb. Oh, he's gone again, Andre Greipel. He keeps trying, doesn't he, to get clear from the others. Izagirre has got him in his sights, but Greipel having another go. He would dearly love to win this.
He's never going to give up, is he? He was on the attack right from the start when that race control car pulled in that flag. He was the first to attack. Now it's the chance of Rubio. He sat back, but Greipel is now sat up. He knows the peloton are going to catch him. Izagirre also, but Rubio, the 25-year-old Spanish rider, has got Boy Van Poppel with them, and they're going to try and push on. But unfortunately for them, too many teams at the front of the peloton that are going to bring them back.
Yeah, he's looking back, isn't he, to see where Tony Gallopin is, I think. The man that's highest placed in the overall general classification on their team. De Boucheray, of course, is the other one, the former Belgian champion, that could tee himself for a sprint for Lotto Soudal. Just dangling out there now, aren't they? Just waiting to be finally caught. There we are. That's the gap. Very, very bridgeable. It's just a matter of when they want to finally catch. Another attack here. This is Rubio trying to go away. Rubio trying to get rid of Van Poppel, but Van Poppel too strong. Straight back into his wheel.
You just see behind the bunch now a lot of movement as all the teams are trying to get advantage by bringing the rider up towards the front. So they're starting to mob the front of the peloton. So the speed is really high. They all want to get onto this climb with a very good position.
And he's gone. Van Poppel has gone now. So he's blown Rubio out of the wheel. So it's just 4 kilometres to the finish now. And remember, at the summit of the climb, he's 1.5 kilometres from the line. What's that, 20 metres? That's about all it is. And it's Sky that are going to make the junction. Team Sky getting nearer and nearer. Yeah, I think he sat up. Yeah, Boy Van Poppel has sat up. Game over as Ian Stannard continues to drag the peloton along.
Some of the riders from Wanty Group Gobert coming up. I think McNally trying to look after Mercato. The yellow jersey being brought towards the front, so it's a battle for position now as we start to heading towards the final right-hand turn of this climb.
Wout Poels, the winner of the stage yesterday, was the last man we saw from Sky, just hit in the front. Looked as though he was going to hit out as well. So, yep, there he is, Wout Poels, winner yesterday at the summit of Haytor, winner at the summit of Hartside last year as well. So he's a man with the strength to make it difficult for the rest. The Liège-Bastogne-Liège winner and a stage winner in the Tour de France. But immediately he's been overhauled, and it's Lotto Soudal now coming to the head.
Also seen that Giant Alpecin trying to bring up Tom Dumoulin, and on Tom Dumoulin's wheel you saw Rowan Dennis. So they're battling at the moment, second and third place. So we're at the foot of the climb. No big reaction now, but it's Lotto Soudal leading the way.
Soudal trying to set up the man in the blue jersey, chain reaction points jersey. That's Tom Dumoulin, because remember, he's on the same time as Rowan Dennis, behind the overall leader Steve Cummings. And also when they cross the line, this is the final counter in the King of the Mountains, but really that's all academic. It's all about who is going to win this stage. Rowan Dennis is the man now that's going away then for BMC. Rowan Dennis then, the Australian. He had a go at trying to do this then when they finished in Kendall. He finally ran out of gas, but this is a big effort by Rowan Dennis. Remember, he's on the same time in the overall standings as Tom Dumoulin. And Tom Dumoulin is on the front trying to pull back Rowan Dennis. They're both 38 seconds behind the yellow jersey of Steve Cummings. What an effort this is then by Rowan Dennis.
Steve Cummings is trying, he realises the danger. I know it's 38 seconds, a very small group, about 20 odd riders, but Steve Cummings decided he can't wait around and trying to close this gap.
This is a supreme effort by Rowan Dennis as he got the final power to win it, getting nearer and nearer to the line. What a courageous effort this is going to be then. He's looking for the line and he will give the victory salute to win the stage, collect the 6-second bonus and elevate himself up into second place overall by right. He does that. Now behind, here comes the sprint for second. This is a terrific sprint for second. It looks like Makisi then riding on Etix Quickstep. What a tight finish that was on the line.
Tell you what, to hold off the peloton, to do that, you have to have good legs, and he had good legs. Oh, okay, Steve Cummings has lost a little bit of time. Circuit race tomorrow, but that was a huge effort there by Rowan Dennis and a well-deserved win.
Well, there is the stage result. Rowan Dennis winning by 6 seconds then from the Argentinian Regisi, with Groenewegen third. So Australian Rowan Dennis, riding for BMC, heroically powered his way to the line to seal stage 7B in Bristol. The Chain Reaction Cycles points jersey changed hands again, with Rowan Dennis now the latest leader. Sandro Maurice becomes the first classification winner of the Tour by clinching the Skoda King of the Mountains. Jasper Bovenhaus remains in top position in the Yodel Sprint competition. Steve Cummings heads the overall GC standings with one stage to go, leading Rowan Dennis by 26 seconds.
Yeah, the circuit was tough, the climb was tough, and I said some days ago I saw a great Rowan Dennis, and there you go, he was great today, and luckily we just managed to peg him, keep the time, you know, in check, but it was a bit touch and go there at the top of the climb.
The overall standings look like this then. Steve Cummings leading Rowan Dennis by 26 seconds, and in third place Tom Dumoulin at 38 seconds. Tony Gallopin fourth.
Hugely entertaining day of racing here, largely thanks to this man, Rowan Dennis, animating the time trial and also very much the circuit race at the end of the day. Rowan, took you long enough to win a stage?
You're not wrong. Look, I've been trying all week since, stage 2. Finally, well, today in the morning I thought the time trial would have been my best chance, and I went pretty well up the climb in the time trial, and Jackson Stewart, our director, said, look, you can win the afternoon stage just from attacking on that climb. So I think it was a last-minute decision in the morning. I was saying there's no way, I can't be bothered, but race ended up opening up on that last time up, and I thought may as well just have a crack.
I mean, a lot of riders will say they don't like the idea of 2 stages in a day, a time trial in the morning and a circuit race like this in the afternoon, but that helped you in a way, did it?
Not really. I was one of them, actually. Look, I think a lot of the racing we do in Australia, I remember there's one race called Tour of Murray. It's 8 days and 14 stages. So, look, I think that's probably worse than just 1 day of double stage, and ideally I'd rather just 1 stage. Obviously it's a lot less stressful logistic-wise, but I can't complain about today, a second and a first. Worked out well. I think maybe next time I won't be so happy.
14 stages inside 8 days. Janto turning his nose up at that. He's really glad he retired last week. But he's done great this week, hasn't he, Rowan? I mean, aggressive pretty much from the off.
Very much so. I've really enjoyed watching him from the telly. Thanks, I wasn't there. No, absolutely. When you consider the attacking, the willingness to take the race by the scruff of the neck, and also the descending in the rain, obviously giving the motos hell. Awesome to see you take second in the time trial this morning, and then the win this afternoon.
Yeah, people have told Rowan he can't descend. You watch back how he came off the top to chase down the break. Just a quick word, Rowan, you're 26 seconds back now from Steve Cummings in the yellow jersey. Perhaps that's a big ask to try and get it, but tomorrow the idea to consolidate your position on the podium.
Yeah, there's only 25 seconds in bonuses up for grabs tomorrow, and realistically I'd have to get off the front as well. Probably there's 4 teams that want a bunch sprint, so in the real world I'm going to say, look, I can't take the win off of Steve, and he's done great this week to really solidate that yellow jersey. So our job tomorrow is to make sure that I don't lose second place, and I'm still on the podium at the finish.
Well, you certainly deserve to be there. We've loved watching you this week, watching you animate the race as you have. Rowan, thanks very much indeed. Yanto, thanks to you as well. We are live on ITV4 tomorrow for the final stage of this year's Tour of Britain from London. That's at 2 o'clock. Do join us then if you can. Sure to be an absolute cracker.